The other plant that maybe we should talk about is the water hyacinth.
Yes,
I know a lot of people like that in their ponds, and they say it looks so pretty.
So yeah, that is somewhere where I wouldn't even attempt to grow it, because even though we're far from a river, that is so aggressively invasive here. I'm not sure if it's on a schedule which forbids growing of it, but it should be. That is another non-indigenous plant which has come over here, like a lot of ornamentals do. They come over here without their natural pests. Eventually their pests will catch up. By pests I mean anything that eats them directly. Water hyacinth's pests really haven't. And because they have adapted to being eaten at a very high rate by insects in the natural environment, because they have a lot of things that eat them in the Americas, you put them here in a waterway, they grow so very fast. They're toxic to a lot of our aquatic life. So a lot of things that try and eat them don't do well on it. It's a little bit like a greener, prettier version of the cane toad in Australia. It's a real problem in natural waterways. It's not a problem in your garden, but it is so easy for those seeds to get out of your garden and into natural waterways. And then you have created a real headache for everything living in that waterway. It will block out the light, it will squeeze out a lot of indigenous vegetation. Blocking out that light is going to cause everything growing in the bottom to die, which is going to change the chemistry of the water, which is going to kill a lot of fish, which is going to mean everyone who relies on fish in that river suddenly has significantly less protein in their diet. Water hyacinth is one I would stay very well away from.
Can you think of any water bodies in Zambia where it's already a problem?
You can end that at, can you think of any water bodies in Zambia? You have, in the Kafue River, you have huge amounts of it all over the Zambezi River. If you go just upstream of Victoria Falls, you will see in the weir, it's usually absolutely clogged with water hyacinth. It is very aggressive. Smaller waterways are just completely swamped by it. The Kafue stands up better, Kariba stands up better, but that's just because they're big enough that control efforts have a little bit more impact. But any small, slow-flowing body is just wiped out by it very quickly, and it gets to most of them. Don't plant it anywhere near the head of the Zambezi, because that is still reasonably free. Most of the Luangwa is still reasonably free of it, but it's in all of them. It's everywhere, and yeah, it's a bad plant.
Okay.
Kill it now.
So responsible people will not be growing water hyacinth.
Yes. If you care about the environment, if you care about eating fish, all of those things, just stay away from water hyacinth. And you can see the chickens have also had their wicked way with this entire bank.
I'm trying to see if there's any interesting things living.
There's puddle frogs in there and lots of different dragonfly larvae, but they won't be particularly active when it's this overcast.
Yeah. So I notice you have quite a few little water bodies, ponds, dishes laid out throughout your garden.
Yeah. So there's two generalized reasons for that. One is I like frogs. I like frogs a lot. They're fantastic in the garden. They eat anything that fits down their mouth. So any terrestrial pest, frogs are great control of. And I also love the calls a lot of the different indigenous frogs make. We have nearly 100 indigenous species of frog. Not on the farm, we have about 20 here, but in Zambia we are very fortunate with our frog diversity. And wherever you are, you put up a pond, you will get some frogs. In town it'll be toads. Out here we get a lot of puddle frogs, a lot of casners, which are the ones that make a little bubble bursting sound, fantastic little things, and a few different reed frogs. The other reason is a lot of these plants are relatively tropical. To keep the humidity up a bit, having a body of water around is really going to help with that. And so having surface water, and so this one, for example, is topped up year round. There's a couple of others fill up from pots, but then you have one or two in there which are just sort of rainy season ones, so they'll just extend the humid period of the rainy season a little bit. We also have some edibles in the pond. So this pickerel weed, which is in a lot of ponds in Zambia, if you were to take, if we can find a nice bit, we could take in the middle here. So this is a little bit past it, but these tender shoots, when they're significantly smaller than this, so the central shoot, when it's small, you can chop that up and just use it as a pot herb, fry it up, it's quite nice and tender. I personally wouldn't eat them raw, so don't nibble that like you did the the last one.
Why?
But then
is it highly astringent?
it's not highly toxic, but it's not something that's going to be palatable, and it has just been in a pond. The other thing which hasn't been so much of an issue here is the seeds of these are used as a sort of rice substitute. They're often mixed in with wild rices in America, because this is indigenous from southern Chile all the way up to Canada. So it's very widespread and very widely used for seeds and tender shoots throughout the Americas. It's a really good edible plant, not very nutritious. It's not going to fill you with iron like the commelina will, but it's quite a nice extra herb to have around the garden just to bulk up meals a bit. And yeah, plenty of fiber and vitamin C.
Do you eat the leaves?
When they're young and tender, I wouldn't eat them when they're tough like this. Okay. So when they're still small, you can chop them up. Yeah.
So was this all like, okay, obviously these were intentional.
So there was supposed to be a sort of succulent thicket around here, but chickens and plants do not well mix. So the idea was to create a sort of barrier around here which would trap leaves, build up the soil around it, make it easier to grow a few mostly ornamental things that like the humidity, a few less ornamental things that like the humidity. But the chickens had their own plans, and so this whole bank is regularly scrubbed free. A few places survive. Mint, for example, is enjoying the edges of the pond. I think they might have eaten that down again though. Yeah, they have eaten it down again.
My last question is about the design of the pond, and if someone wants to do something like this, because I notice, well, okay, my first observation is it's actually quite a shallow pond.
Yeah, this is a shallow pond. So this doesn't have fish in it. It did for a period because we got fish someone didn't want, but I didn't really want fish. So when the owls killed them, I wasn't that upset. But if you want a wildlife pond, you really don't need to go more than about 2 feet deep. Most of our beneficial insects, most of our frogs that are going to be breeding in gardens at all, they're going to be happier with shallower water. They're going to use that space a lot more. I do have a slightly deeper pond specifically for the cataners, but they will use this occasionally. They'll use other shallow ponds occasionally. All your dragonfly larvae, all of that, they're going to feed in that shallow part. And the other fantastic one we have is the elephant mosquito, which is a mosquito which preys on the larvae of other mosquitoes and doesn't bite when it grows up. And that one, you want a lot of plants for it because they are very predatory. They will eat each other if they have access to each other. So a shallow pond with a lot of plant mass is going to support a lot more than a deeper, wide open pond where they can find each other. They'll breed in here, and then during the rainy season they will lay their eggs in tree holes and all the small bodies of water that biting mosquitoes will use, and that really helps keep our mosquitoes down. Doesn't eliminate them, biological controls never eliminate, but they do keep them lower than they had been at one point. So I like shallow ponds for that reason. If you want fish, try and go at least 60 centimeters because that's going to save a lot of your fish from things like herons and kingfishers. But I don't. Fish, to me, they kill frogs, they kill dragonfly larvae. Even the mosquito fish, which was widely introduced in Zambia to control mosquitoes, kills more of the things that eat mosquitoes than it does the mosquitoes themselves. It was never a good idea.
It never really is a good idea to tamper too much with nature's control systems.
I think the thing is you can prod it, but you shouldn't push it.
Or what tree plants can people easily find
for their ponds? For their ponds,
if they want to do a little something at home.
That's a complicated question. If you were doing a really shady pond like this, don't plant papyrus. This papyrus is here until I've dug a pond in a much more open location, because this is an indigenous papyrus. I really want to have it growing for some of the birds that will use that. This pickerel weed is fantastic. It will grow in very shady ponds like this. The only issue is during the dry season you want to cut it back quite regularly, because it, like a lot of non-indigenous pond plants, it will pump water out of its leaves at a phenomenal rate. You'll think your pond has a leak sometimes during the dry season, and then you'll cut back your pickerel weed and find out that was the only issue. The other one right in here, which is actually perfectly fine in a shaded pond, but at this time of year, sorry, just scaring off a platana there, is very much reduced, is, oh dear. The other thing you'll find growing in ponds is your audio equipment. Is that still transmitting? Oh, thank goodness.
Just give it a wipe and...
Yeah, I'll just dry it off on my shirt there. I'm just going to grab this without dropping the audio equipment. The other thing you'll find in here, which will tolerate shade, but it's much happier in the sun, so in the dry season, it'll be doing much better. This is Nile cabbage or water lettuce. Despite the name, you can't eat it, but it is a really good biomass one. So a lot of the sort of slightly more clayey soils around this, we're on very sandy soil here. A lot of the clay soil here is built up because I've taken this out of the pond during the dry season and chucked it around, covered it over in bamboo leaves. That builds a much richer, deeper soil because this grows really fast. It's a really good biomass. Don't plant it if you want to keep open spaces in your pond without lots of labor. Go with water lilies instead. There's some native ones which do really fantastically here, even in quite shallow water. So 40 centimeters you're going to want deep for water lilies to do well. But yeah, they can really thrive here if you don't want the labor of this. But if you do want lots of biomass, this is a fantastic one for that. This is my grandmother's original pond here. You can see there used to be a lot more ornamentation around it. It's been sort of swallowed.
It's lovely. It's sad because look at the tiling in there.
Yeah. One of the issues is we've had some trouble with a leak in it, so it's mostly a rainy season pond. This